Welcome back in, everybody. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and we are your hosts, Bull and Timmy G. Man, look, tonight we just want to talk about this big-time ball game coming up on Saturday. Our Tennessee Volunteers versus the Oklahoma Sooners. So whether you are a Vol fan or if you are a Sooner fan, y'all can put y'all's thoughts down in the chat right here, and we're going to try to get to every single one of them. And just, I want to know how everyone's feeling. It's kind of just like a little temperature check. And I put up a poll. If y'all haven't voted on that poll just yet, then make sure that you do. But it's just asking, who do you feel like is going to win this game between obviously Tennessee and Oklahoma? Right now, it's 100% for Tennessee. So that's probably just all Tennessee fans. But, man, Timmy G, how do you feel about this one so far? We're going through all the breakdowns and all that stuff. And, you've seen all that stuff. So what do you think? How are you feeling about this one?
I feel good. I'm a little man. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, just because a little battered ball syndrome creeping in. It's the first SEC game. Like, I feel like preseason's finally over, and now we're getting ready to see what's what. Right?
Yep.
We're getting ready to see some real competition, and going on the road. Oklahoma's going to say they're going to be fired up for this one's going to be an understatement. Their first game in the SEC. This is the first time they've been an underdog at home since I saw the stat. It's a long, long time ago.
Since 1998.
Oh my Lord. Hey, they're going to be, I can only imagine what the coaches are telling them. If it was Kirby, you know what he would do. They don't respect you.
Yep.
They're going to use all that. But man, I am ready for it. I'm excited. I'm ready to get this thing on the go, man. This week's went by so slow.
Hey, I was about to say, look, this is the slowest week maybe since like pre-COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like after COVID, everything sped up, but now this has been just like a regular, very, very slow week. So maybe everybody's just anxious about this game, but I feel good about it. Like, I think that Tennessee is in a really good spot, but the closer that we're getting to it, maybe I'm just taking in too much information. Maybe I've watched too much film. I'm starting to see some ways that Oklahoma can have some success in this game, and we'll talk about all that stuff. But the first thing that I want to do right here real quick is take a look at the injury report. This is going to be our first one because this is our first SEC game. And as y'all can see, we already knew that Jordan Thomas was going to be out for the season, but John Slaughter being out, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a guy playing at safety, probably wasn't going to play too much anyway, but that just kind of minimizes the depth at that position. And then also Big Sham is out. I think that could be a little bit of an issue. If Carrick, if he gets banged up, we got to put in Jackson Lampley, who I think can handle it. But I think I'd rather see Sham at this point because there was a few things that we looked at on film with Jackson Lampley that I wasn't really feeling that. So right here, they're also saying that Lance Hurd is going to be questionable. I think that he's going to go. I think that's a little bit of, gamesmanship by Coach Heupel. And then, we've got William Wright, Ben Bolton, and then also Satterwhite. All those guys are just probable. I feel like they will all go. The only one that might be any sort of a factor would be William Satterwhite. He will be the backup center. But in this game, if for whatever reason Cooper Mays does go down, it's going to end up being Dane Davis either way. So let's scroll up to Oklahoma's folks that they have out. Pretty much, the same people who we expected to be out. Now, Gentry Williams is someone that I've heard from some of the Sooner fans and insiders that they said, hey, he might be able to play in this game. Now, of course, this stuff can be updated. I think that you could put a player down as out at this point because this is the first one that does go out to everybody. But then on game day, you will release that final one. And some of the players that are out, as far as I understand it, can end up actually going. So we'll see what happens with that. But looking at some of the players that is probably going to be of note for us as Tennessee fans is Branson Hickman, who would be their true starting center. He's the one that transferred in from SMU. They have him as questionable. He has a high ankle sprain. I would expect that he would probably try to go. And it also showing that Jake Taylor, he's going to be questionable. He might try to go. I think he's another tackle. And then Nick Anderson, we are expecting for him to go. That's the big 6'4" wide receiver. He's really good. Andrew Anthony, that's another one of their wide receivers. He's about 6'1". He's pretty solid. And then Kendall Dobie, he's going to be one of their cornerbacks. I think that he might also play nickel, but he's really good. A whole lot of Sooner fans have been talking about him. He's probably going to go. And then they've got Troy Everett, who's another offensive lineman. And I think that he plays tackle, but it also could be guard. So it looks like, man, they are trying to get back as many people as they possibly can for this game. And that is to be expected because, their offensive line has not looked good at all. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But let's go ahead and start getting to some of these chats real quick. So from Robert Bernard says, "Don't worry, Timmy G. The Vols got this game." Love that confidence, baby. You already know I still feel pretty good about it, but we'll see how I feel maybe like tomorrow and especially on game day. How am I going to wake up? This one right here is from Abens. I don't want to read that all, but it says, it says,
Yeah.
"Oh, Big Orange." All right. So Mike Harmon is saying, "First time the students have faced a quality opponent as well. We go in and play our game. We win." I would have to agree with that. Now, you know what? I want to talk about that some, Timmy G, because it's been so much talk, especially from Sooner fans saying, "Well, Tennessee hasn't played anybody." But I mean, who is Oklahoma played? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a little bit better. I think that their strength of schedule is ranked maybe at 105. Ours is at like 122. It's not that much of a difference. But what are your thoughts on that, Timmy G?
I mean, okay, is Tulane that much better than NC State? Time will tell. I think it's too early to say who's played who yet, really.
Yeah.
Look, let's just be honest. Everybody schedules cupcakes at the beginning of the year. It's we're in preseason now. We're getting ready to go to the real season. We're getting ready to hit SEC schedules, and you're going to see who's who. Me and you have talked about this before, but I don't think a team should be ranked until week 6.
Yeah.
Myself, I think all preseason polls are trash. They mean nothing. It's a bunch of media people, and sometimes those people, man, they don't even know football. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't follow these teams. They don't know these teams. I'll stop ranting now, but
Go ahead, bro.
hey,
Go ahead, man.
but
Talk that
man,
talk.
look, we'll see. I don't think they played anybody yet. And they say, oh, well, their defense is so good. Is it? You let Tulane score on you. You let all these other teams, they all scored on you. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think they played anybody. I don't think we played anybody. Obviously, NC State wasn't as good as everybody made them out to be in the preseason. And Kent State is quite literally the worst team in college football, possibly, or FSU. Time will tell. Possibly FSU, but anytime I can throw shade at FSU, I'm going to.
You already know.
Yeah, but no, man, that's what I think. I mean, we'll see. I think we've got a better team. The thing I've been doing is looking at Oklahoma and going, well, where are they better than us?
Yeah.
Where are they better than us? You know, and I looked at all the categories. Offensive line, are they better than us? No. Defensive line, are they better than us? No. They do have what was it, Dijon Terry that transferred to Oklahoma.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? So he's their biggest lineman.
Yeah.
And well, you know what? We'll get into all of that stuff here in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you just watch both of these teams play, right, you can tell. I mean, at least you should be able to tell that one team is, in my opinion, on a different level. But I do think that Oklahoma is good and that they can pose some challenges. So we're going to get to that here in just a minute. Let me get to some more of these right here from Sam Hargrove, a member of the channel. We definitely appreciate you for being a member of this channel. Hey, listen, also, y'all, as y'all are coming in, please make sure to like this video. And if you are new here, if you like what we do, if you like this content, also make sure to subscribe to the channel. So Sam says, I think Tennessee puts it on them as Nico manages the game and takes what the defense gives him. I think that that's definitely going to be something that we'll talk about here in just a minute. UT Bag Gump says Hurd was good last weekend, according to AP. Yeah, I think that they just kind of held him out just to rest him up. You know, you're going to be going through some bumps and bruises, especially playing in those trenches. But I would definitely expect for Lance Hurd to go in this game. Let's see what Green Wave is talking about here. What's going on? Green Wave says they didn't look very good versus Temple. Needed 5 giveaways to get the score up. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Let's see right here from Stephen Wolf says that Tennessee offense needs to stay out of 3rd and long, establish the run early. So we are going to, go ahead, Timmy G.
No, actually, me and Steve go a long way back. He used to be my boss. He's the reason that I got moved to Middle Tennessee. Thanks for that, Steve. Not really. I love East Tennessee, man. But it's all good. I'm just kidding. But no, I mean that's exactly the point. We need to don't get caught in 3rd and long. The only thing that concerns me is like the offensive line, false starts, things like that, putting us behind the chains. If we establish the run, there's no way Oklahoma can beat us. I just don't see it happening. If Descent can go out and have a game, they're in trouble. They're in serious trouble.
I think so too.
I think the Venables knows, like, he's got to pick his poison. What's he going to stop? Are you going to come up and try to make Nico beat you? Which I think that's what he's going to try to do. I
Yeah.
think that's a mistake, but that's what he's going to try to do. This is such an interesting game, man. You've got coaches that know each other backwards and forwards with a lot of history.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. So actually, let's go ahead and talk about that matchup because I think that that's probably the one that will really determine how this game goes for the most part. And I think that if Oklahoma will have a chance to win, it's going to have to come from their defense. I think that they probably feel the exact same way. So whenever I look at their defense, I feel like they're solid, right? I feel like they are a good defense.
They're
You talk about
fundamentally
their
sound.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
They're definitely that. And they're extremely versatile. They can give you all the different looks. Looking at their front, I would say that they're about average, maybe slightly below average for what a normal SEC line looks like as far as the size and all that. They've got, I think, 4 guys up front that are over 300 pounds. Like we talked about, Terry's going to be the biggest one. He's at 330 pounds. Just as a point of reference, Tennessee has 8 guys that are over 300 pounds on our D line, and on the inside, you know what I'm saying?
One that's pushing close to 350.
Who's
Big
that?
E, right? Big E.
Yeah,
He's probably
yeah.
pushing closer to 350. But
Yeah. So he's about 340, 345.
Yeah.
Like I think he had to cut down just to get to that size. But so their tackles are a lot more like pass rushing guys. They're not necessarily tall, right? It's like with that weight, they're about 6'1", 6'2", so they're a little bit shorter, but they've got some good twitch to them. I've seen them get pushed back, in the running game, and I think that that's where they need to improve at, especially up front, because in the SEC, the big guys need to be, especially on the inside, they need to be more like run stoppers. I don't think that they're as strong right there, but they could pose some problems for us, whenever we're dropping back to pass, things like that. So going on up to their second level, they've got a plethora of different body types at linebacker. They've got 2 guys that are, about 6'2" and up, 240 plus pounds, but they're like that prototype Mike linebacker. I think that they do a really good job of kind of getting to their fits and all that type of stuff, but they don't have that SEC speed really. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen that they can't really beat the blocks with speed, and I think that we'll be able to get up to the second level if they want to play them and be able to get some push. I think that we'll have some good running lanes, and I do feel like Timmy G, like you said, that we will be able to establish the running game on Oklahoma. Now, they've also got some linebackers that are a little bit smaller and faster, and I feel like that might be to their benefit to try to play more of that sort of a style, especially if we're playing. I mean, I think with any set that we get into, but we're so versatile also on offense, that chess match, that's going to be very, very interesting because if we come out, and we try to start to run the ball, if they do stop it, we're just going to go to that 12 personnel, right? We're going to bunch it up, and then we'll see what they do with that. I also feel like if we were to kind of flex one of those tight ends out, Ethan Davis, who is pretty much a wide receiver, flex him out, get him matched up versus one of their backers, he's going to have a field day versus pretty much any of those players. And then also we can motion in guys or move people to where, Squirrel White gets lined up versus one of those guys. And I think that that's where that, again, that chess match will come into play. And then just like looking at their secondary, man, I think that they've got some good pieces back there, but because their coverages are just so complicated, I think that we can catch them. I think that Heupel's going to set them up. He's going to catch them. And I just feel like this is going to be a game where Nico will have his opportunities because I do feel like their game plan early on will be to stop our running game, and they're going to try to force Nico to make plays. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But do you feel like that's a little bit, do you feel like that's accurate, Timmy G, or do you feel like it could go maybe a little bit of a different way?
No, man. I mean, I agree. We're going to see some interesting matchups. You've got 2 guys that have an insane amount of knowledge of each other's coaching that have literally coached on the same team. You've got 3 coaches on this team that are returning to Norman. You've got Heupel, Halsey, and Willie Martinez. All 3 of them have coached at Oklahoma. They all have history at Oklahoma. Make no mistake, if Heupel can drop 100 on these guys, I think he's going to drop 100 on these guys. Listen, the way he's acted this week has been, I've never seen him like this. And this is why I think you're in trouble. The way he just seems so comfortable. And when I see this guy this comfortable, that tells me he knows what he's got. He
Yeah.
knows he's got the keys to a really good car, a car that he might have not have had before, right?
100%.
We'll see what happens, but I'm excited, man. I've seen all their guys make mistakes. I've seen our guys make mistakes. I'm ready to see what happens. I think we have a little outmatched, and I'm hoping that shows up. I mean, crazy things can happen on a away field, right? Right when you're the visitor, but the attitude that I've seen of these guys, talking about the opponent is nameless, the opponent is faceless. When have you seen that from Tennessee? When have you seen that from Tennessee? The culture is different.
Maybe never, yeah.
Yeah, the culture is different now. Heupel has done something that I quite frankly wasn't sure that could be done, and I think he's come in here and he's changed the culture, and I think he's ready for blood.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Look, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get back to some more of these chats right here. From UT Bag Gumps says they don't watch, they go off stats, not realizing James Pierce Jr. has played less than 50 snaps. I agree with that. I think he's gonna have a really, really big day. The Invisible Redneck says go Vols. I second that. David Farr says UT by 2 touchdowns. UT is too well-rounded and talented. That being said, welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma. Yeah, you know what? I've had a lot of fun with Oklahoma fans. I think that they are a classy bunch. Sam Hargrove says, what if Tennessee jumps out to a 3-score lead and forces OU to pass to catch up? With our D-line and their O-line, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to blitz Nico to force bad passes. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about right there, just because, well, you know what, actually, let's just kind of flip it on over and talk about what can Oklahoma's offense do to have any success versus our front, because, yeah, that matchup looks really bad. I would say that their offensive line, even with everyone coming back healthy, is not going to be able to hold up versus our defensive front. And people have been talking about, well, they're like 105th in sacks right now. What people don't understand is that our starters have like really barely played, right? I mean, they have not played very much, if at all. And, all the talk about, maybe Oklahoma's hiding some stuff. Well, what do y'all think Tennessee has done? Our starters haven't played for more than a half. You know what I'm saying? Like they played they played 1 full game, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe 2 full games total if you want to count the other 2 games. Because they've only played in 1 half. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma's hiding anything. Is the thing. I mean,
no.
Here's what they've been hiding. A lot of people are hurt. That's like
there it is.
And I don't think they trust this kid to do everything just yet. I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. Joe Milton. I mean, and I'm not throwing shade at this Arnold kid, and I'm not throwing shade at Joe. Joe did what he could, the best he could do, but what I am saying is, I think they just don't trust him to do everything just yet, and he's really young, and I think a lot of that's due with they know what they've got at O-line, right? Mm-hmm. And Steven just sent me a really good question. He said, would the OU line start over NC State O-line?
I think that is a very, very good question. I think that some of them might, but maybe one of them, maybe. I think that honestly,
I think they're pretty similar, right?
Offensive line is probably worse.
Yeah, I think they're pretty similar. I mean,
they're very similar. Yeah.
So, and if that's the case, man, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So that's the whole thing, is that I don't know what they can do. And to your point, Timmy G, what could they possibly hide? Because whenever you can't protect your quarterback, you can only do so many things, right? Like if you can't block, and it's not just about passing, but even if they can barely even run block. So, I mean, like if you talk about inside zone plays where they're trying to run the ball up the middle, I mean, they're not getting any push at all. They've looked pretty decent running some of the stretch plays, outside zone plays. They've looked all right right there, but I don't think that they're going to even be able to do that versus our team. Well, so I mean, what they're going to have to do is probably what we saw versus UT Chat, where they're cutting us. I think that we'll see a pretty heavy dose of that, and then they're also just going to have to keep on getting the ball out quick. They're going to have to, screens, speed sweeps, stuff like that. That's going to be all that they can do on offense. Some types of trick plays. I don't see anything else working for them. Like they're getting back these wide receivers and stuff. But how are they going to have time to get the football to them? They'll have to max protect, and then it'll only be maybe 1 to 2 wide receivers going down the field. we'll have plenty of people in coverage for that. So
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's going to be very difficult for them. And Jackson Arnold is actually really good. I love
think
Jackson
he is.
Arnold.
I think he will
Yeah.
be good. But let me say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
The difference between Tennessee being able to hide things is because Tennessee is, hey, let me say how Boo Carter says it: belt to ass.
Yeah.
Tennessee has brought belt to ass to the guys, to the teams that they play. You're not hiding things when you're playing Houston. What was the score? 14-16, something like that.
Yeah,
Like
probably
it
something like
was,
that.
it
Yeah.
was not good, right? It was not good. Listen, you're going to pull everything out of the hat to get that win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're playing teams that close, I don't think you're holding things back. I think you're doing what you can do. I just don't think they've been able to do what they want to do due to injuries and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if they even had, I would say, just a good offensive line, then this would be, this could be a very, very close game. I would be a lot more concerned, but that's where most of my confidence comes from, because I do feel like their defense will have something drawn up, right? Just to try to, throw Nico off, which they will have some success doing that at some point in this game. But I don't see how they're going to score unless they're scoring on defense or on special teams. I don't see that coming from that offense. So that's the kicker, and unless maybe they can do some screens to one of these wide receivers, and if they are very, very explosive and they can just take it to the house, or if Jackson Arnold is just able to, be a juggernaut in this game and put the whole team on his back, then yeah, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And they will have enough time to do what they've been doing, where it's like it's hitches, it's slants, a lot of that coming like in the middle. And they will have some success, especially early on doing that. But once we start to come up, then what? You know what I'm saying? Like, will they still be able to get those off? Will they have some wrinkles coming off of that? And I know that they will probably have some new installs, right? Like they'll have some new plays for Tennessee, but I just don't, without you being able to block, I don't see how that's gonna do too much of anything. Let me get back to some more of these chats, man, because I want to get to everybody's questions and comments. I've got to that one right there. Let's see right here. All right, so from UT Bad Gumps says, I think the Heupel going home story is all that will be left after we drag them Saturday. Yeah, I know people are about to wear that thing out, but it is big. Like I was just listening to him on those Vol calls, and he was, you could tell that he was kind of getting choked up some talking about Oklahoma. So that's another question. Will he be himself? Does he have anybody that can kind of check him and say, look, this is not how you would normally act in this sort of a situation? I think that will be necessary. But it's probably just because he's so excited about this game. And I do think that he's going to be out to prove a point. The Invisible Redneck says, Sam, we know the Vols can do it. This offense has done it against tougher teams. 100%. Johnny Novak says 90% on Tennessee in this poll. Let me check on the poll because, I did notice that it looked like it had changed.
Oh, we got an Oklahoma guy in here.
Yeah. So actually, I think we might have a few. So right now we are at 90% Tennessee and 10% for Oklahoma. So, I think that's great that y'all Oklahoma fans are standing up for your team. That's what you should do. And man, in a situation like this, anything can happen. It is college football. It's on the road. It's a whole lot of stuff going on. So who knows? Oklahoma could come out and play absolutely perfect, and Tennessee could play absolutely horrible. That is possible. That's why we play these games. But I just don't, I don't really see that happening. Let's see right here. UT Bad Gump says tight end on rub routes. So that's another thing that I think Tennessee will definitely utilize is some rub routes. So with us spreading out Oklahoma's defense, we know that they can be very, very versatile, very multiple. And that's another part of it. People are saying, well, Oklahoma hasn't shown a whole lot on defense, but we talked about it in in our film sessions, seeing linebackers dropping all the way to a middle third, which is what safeties do. Seeing their ends dropping deep too. You know what I'm saying? Dropping to, like a Tampa 2 depth. So they've shown a whole lot of different things. I've seen them show like man-to-man. I've seen them show cover 0 and flip it to cover 2. Those are very, very exotic looks. So they've shown a lot. Doesn't mean that they've shown everything because I know there's a whole lot left. But I just think that with the way that they move things around, with the way that we're going to spread them out, it should kind of show us what they're in a little bit more, make it easier on our offense. But we will have some of those switch routes. We're going to get them isolated some. And I think that we will be able to score some deep touchdowns in this game. We haven't seen a whole lot of that from our offense up to this point. It's been a whole lot of run the ball. Just make sure that, we're just kind of like getting more people going, stuff like that. Like we just try to make sure that we're spreading things out. But in this game, I think that we're really going to open some stuff up. And I feel like, I mean, it's a possibility that if they can't stop our run, or if they can at least slow it down, if they can't find a way to generate some pressure, if they don't get turnovers, I could see a world where, Nico throws for like 300 plus with like 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? And then we're also running for about 150 plus. I could see it getting ugly. I most definitely could. But let's get to some more of these right here. We also got one from the Invisible Redneck says, I think we can shut them down. I hope we can shut down Arnold's legs when he starts running on busted plays. That's going to be another one of those things, Timmy G, because I know that's going to be a strong point of emphasis, especially for our ends. You have to maintain those pass rush lanes. Don't let Jackson Arnold get outside of the pocket. Now, that is one place that I feel like Oklahoma can find some good success with, is on some quarterback power plays where they've got +1 inside of the box. They could break some things loose with that. And Jackson Arnold, I mean, he's a dog. He ain't scared of running up in there. The question is, how does he respond whenever he's getting hit? Or really, how does his coaches respond to seeing him getting hit? Because our team is going to try to hit him very, very hard on some of those plays. So how long does that last? But do you think that that's something that that maybe Oklahoma could sustain for a full 60 minutes with him being their leading rusher, getting the most carries and all that type of stuff, Timmy G?
No, I just don't see that in being a healthy plan for a very young QB. Can he use his leg and get some yards? Sure. Can he carry the entire game with his legs? No, I don't think that's a good move to be running any young quarterback like that against an SEC defense. It sounds like a little dangerous to me. I mean, he's the future of your program. Will they use him and use the run, and can that be a problem? It could. I mean, just like you said, that's something I've heard all our defensive guys talked about, is maintaining our rush lanes, contain, and if he starts to do that and it's effective, then I think you're going to see him put Peely or AC on him and spy him. But I don't know, man. We'll see. I'm so pumped for this game.
Yeah.
There's so many ways things could go. Look, OU is going to come out with their hair on fire. They've heard all this stuff. They've heard the hype. They're going to be ready. It's a home game. You got game day there. There's some OU fans in here. When's the last time game day was in Oklahoma? Anybody know?
Yeah, if somebody could write that down in the chat, that would be awesome. And we got a lot more that we will get to here in just a second. I'm gonna pull up these stats here real quick, just so y'all can take a quick look at it. This is Oklahoma's offense versus our defense. As we said before, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. We didn't play up against the same really caliber of competition. I think it's pretty close. But if you look at the yard totals and things like that, I feel like that does kind of tell the tale. One of my questions, because I know people love to do this, they say, well, what team that Oklahoma played could have beat the teams that Tennessee played, and same thing, vice versa. But I like to look at it more this way. If Tennessee played Oklahoma's schedule, would the scores look the same? And, if Oklahoma played Tennessee's schedule, would the scores, you see what I'm saying? I think that's a little bit more of a strong indicator of how that could look. And everything that you see in green is going to be where Tennessee or whoever is leading at. But on this one, you can see Tennessee's leading in everything but one category. And then we'll move it on over to Tennessee on offense versus Oklahoma on defense. And it's pretty much the exact same thing, just flipped. So the one thing that Oklahoma's doing a better job at is turnovers. I think that should give you a little bit of pause if you are a Tennessee fan. We've got to take better care of the football. But we know that at least one of those interceptions that Nico threw that wasn't his fault, right? Yeah. That was a pick six. And it was really just because his arm, like he got hit as he's throwing it, the ball kind of flusters, right? I mean, that's not a real interception by any means. But Oklahoma is taking the football away. So that's going to be a huge thing for us. We got to take care of the football in this game. You know 100%. What I mean?
100%.
All right, so let's get to some more of these chats. I got to get back to my spot where I was at because so right here we was at Dirty Higgins says, "Go big MF Orange." You already know, baby. The Invisible Redneck saying, "Go big Orange." Johnny Novak says 90% nationally on Tennessee to roll easy. Everyone on T3, TD plus. Anyone besides me concerned that Vegas got it so wrong. I think this may be a trap. Yeah, so that right there sounds a whole lot like that battered ball syndrome kind of flaring up for you. You know what I'm saying? I think that I feel like if anything, I'm shocked that Vegas has it this close. Honestly speaking,
I am
I
too,
just really do. You
and here's
know what I'm
why.
saying?
Because I
Yeah.
watched an enormous amount of Oklahoma content this week from their guys. Because I like to hear like how they feel, what they feel. Because I'm not
Yeah.
watching their team play every week. I'm watching my team and whatever else is on. But the I see one thing I see consistently is they all say their defense is good,
Yeah.
and they are all highly concerned about their offensive line and their offense
Rightfully
in
so.
general, right?
Yeah.
Offensive production. And you know, that seems to play to Tennessee's favor. Look, like can they do some things? And you're right. If they can force some turnovers, or if the crowd can get into it, and we get behind the chains and force us into some situations, you know, things could change. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I see a lot of Oklahoma fans that are nervous about their offense, and that when you've got that being their concern going up against our defensive line, that's probably going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bigger problem than people even realize. And in all honesty, also from Johnny Novak says either that or this is the easiest pick of all time. Yeah, I think that this is. I think it might be more of the latter on that. Robert Bernard says when your leading rusher is the quarterback, then that's a recipe for an injured quarterback and a dominated loss. Yeah, so I hope that he doesn't get injured. You know what I'm
No, I
saying?
don't
But
want to see the kid hurt, man, at all. Yeah,
excuse me. Yeah, I definitely I don't wish injury on anybody. I hope that I hope that both teams play, I would say, to their best. I hope that both teams definitely stay injury free. I just never want to see that. But yeah, I mean, I understand the point that he's trying. I don't think that he meant injured. Maybe he meant more hurt. So yeah, I mean, could he kind of feel some pain after this game? I think so. I think he's going to spend a whole lot of time inside of the ice bath, especially if he's running the ball a ton. And I mean, I almost feel bad for him because if he had a good offensive line, I think that people will be talking about him like you're hearing them talking about Nico or like with Arch Manning or Dylan or any of these other freshman players. But just because I think that he really is a baller, he just needs an offensive line, and I think that their
yeah.
scheme could be even better with that. But unfortunately, this season they don't have it, and I think it's going to be a major problem versus maybe the best defensive line in the whole country. Okay, I already got to that one. Didn't mean to bring that one back up. So right here, UT Badgum says Hypo knows how to combat a Venable, or I'm sorry. Okay, I understand what I'm trying to say. Disease defense, yeah, absolutely. So I mean that is, and Timmy G, you had brought that up earlier. That it's going to be interesting to see because they know each
Yeah.
other pretty well. So that chess match there, but you already know that they've got some stuff to try to set one another up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's look,
that
man,
part's going to be fun.
this is going to be really interesting to
Yeah.
see some of the things these guys do because there's an enormous amount of history between these people.
Yeah, 100%. And we're gonna get right here to Tyler Walker says, "What happens when OU folds Nico like a burrito?" So you know what? I don't know how much of it. So I think that they've got number 32, and I can't think of his name. I think it's the R. Mason Thompson or Thomas. I think that he could pose some threats on the outside because he's about 6'2", somewhere around 250 pounds. He's got good speed coming off of the edge. And I've seen him, like I think last weekend, he had 3 sacks and maybe like one quarter, but he was he was consistently getting there. So we'll see how do our tackles hold up versus that speed. I think that we struggle with that a little bit more. But outside of that, like what you have to understand with Nico is that he knows how to escape pressure. So if you only get one person to kind of come in, I don't think that that's going to be enough. You need to get two. So like Nico has to kind of like it needs to be kind of coming from both sides just because Nico has such a great pocket presence, even from his blind side. It's like he always gets a ball out just in time, or he kind of rolls out. So if you're talking about inside of the pocket, we've got a really good offensive line. I don't think that that's going to happen too often, and we might kind of max protect whenever we feel like we need to. So, I mean, you might get to him once or twice, but it's not going to be an all the time thing. We're just not going to let that happen to Nico. We'll find ways to scheme around that pass rush. But if you're talking about him running, I do think that Nico, Timmy G, needs to get down.
Burn the
That's not too much
slide.
of his personality, but yeah, he needs to
Yeah.
get on up out of bounds, slide, and kind of like cut his losses. But he has shown to kind of be like Jackson Arnold, where I'm just going to keep on going, right? And now these are bigger, stronger, faster players on Oklahoma's defense. Does that concern you at all, Timmy G?
I don't know. We'll see. I bet he heard a lot about that last week. I bet
Mhm.
that was something that was mentioned a lot in some meetings and on some film was, hey man, you've got to get down. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're not paying you $2 million a year to go out here and crack your skull. Like, get down. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I want to see a change from what I saw last week, because now that you're getting into the SEC schedule, you're facing a different level of athlete than what he's.
Absolutely.
Speed, power, everything, and OU is going to have some guys. So yeah, he needs to be a little more careful.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to definitely have to do that. And then UT Bad Gump says, definitely going to say the membership is worth it all day. Thank you so much for that plug, brother. You already know. Right here, Tyler Walker also says Tennessee's D-line is at the bottom ninth, or I don't know what that's supposed to say, 9F, the nation in sacks. So, like we kind of touched on earlier, right? Tennessee has seen every single team that Tennessee has faced this season is getting the football out of their hands very quickly. Our defensive line, they haven't played a whole lot, right? Like, especially our guys. We've played a ton of people. It's been really more so of the fourth string and our walk-ons than it has been our guys. They've barely gone. It hasn't been a ton of situations for them to get to the quarterback. But if you look at the hurries, if you look at the pressures, I think Tennessee is like 8th or something. You know what I'm saying? So we are getting there. And we've also, actually, Tennessee is 8th in the country in getting pressure with just their front four.
Yeah.
So we haven't even.
We don't have to bring the house to get pressure, and
we haven't really shown too many stunts. You know what I'm saying? We haven't really shown anything on defense.
Well,
honestly.
I promise you,
barely anything.
I promise you, Mr. Banks is going to be whipping some of those out this weekend. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Banks loves to blitz. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is a blitzing coordinator.
Yeah.
So that's coming.
I think he's just like Heupel too. He's only showed so much of his hand. Yeah. We'll see what happens come game day. But listen, I'm loving it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I am too. And then also, man, like, whenever you think about, I mean, dude, there's so many. All right, so I think that James Pierce in his first game, he got 10 snaps. Okay.
10 snaps.
And versus Kent State, probably about the same amount. I don't think that he's even broken.
He hasn't broken 20 yet.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think he's broken 20 in a game. I don't know if he's broken 40 snaps this whole season.
I don't think he's broken. He has, I'm not sure that he's broken 20 all season.
Yeah. I mean,
has he broken 20? Maybe, if so, 25 something. It's not been.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't broken 50, and if he has, it's just barely. So typically, these guys, most players are going to get 50 per game. But also, whenever you think about it, if this is going to be one of the worst offensive lines they've gone up against, imagine how much their numbers are about to go up, right? I'm telling you, they are about to feast. At some point, Oklahoma's going to have to try to throw the ball down the field, right, Timmy G? I mean, they're going to have to try to do that.
Well, that's what Heupel does to you, right? Like, he gets out, he jumps on you early. I mean, traditionally, look, the seasons he's been here for what, three seasons? This is fourth, right? But that's what he does. He goes out, he jumps on teams early, and go back to the LSU game. Because if you want to ask how I think the game's going to go, I honestly think it's going to go something similar to that game. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. But that's what he does. He goes out and he scores on you early, and you realize you're in a drag race. You brought the Hyundai, and he's got the funny car. And when he gets out ahead of you, he forces you into these situations where you have to pass to try to catch up, and the running game's no longer effective. It'd be different if maybe that's what Oklahoma tries to do is control the ball and grind it down and time of possession. But that's something else I heard somebody say. Well, it should be a time of possession game for Oklahoma. Heupel doesn't really give a damn about time of possession. Since when has Tennessee won a game that they've led in time of possession? That's not
Tennessee is like dead last in that.
Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't mean anything, and he still puts up insane numbers. So, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take Tennessee's offense long to score. Now, something else that I want to touch on is with our tempo, because I know there's been a whole lot of talk, especially from Oklahoma players and coaches, about Tennessee's tempo, which, man, like what we saw in Spurs versus UT Chattanooga, it was crazy. But it also seems like maybe like versus NC State, we kind of started to slow it down some. But I do feel like we will give them a pretty good dose of tempo in this game. And it's going to be interesting to see how they can respond to that. Being that they like to be very complicated with their play calls and all that. That's why I feel like Tennessee is going to be able to take advantage of them being overly complicated on defense and have some people running wide open down the field. But what are your thoughts on how the tempo might kind of like impact this game coming up on Saturday, Timmy G?
Well, that's we'll see what happens, but I actually think they're going to try to run tempo on us, which I think is a mistake because our team literally plays against one of the fastest offenses every week. That's not something that's going to affect these guys because they literally go at it every day in practice. I mean, can somebody make a mistake when you go faster? Of course you can, but they're a little bit. It's not going to be as effective as going fast on a different team because these guys literally go at it all day, every day in practice against a very fast tempo offense. So,
well, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, how do I think it will affect Oklahoma? We'll see. I mean, it can definitely cause some issues. This is where this whole helmet communication becomes a thing, right? Like, this throws such a wrinkle into things. Is it better now to wait the 15 seconds and then make your change, make your switch once they can't talk to them? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So Oklahoma, they so I know for sure last season with Levy, right? I know that they saw a good dose of the tempo too. And I know that they'll have some sort of a game plan for it. I don't know. First off, if their offense wants to run tempo versus our defense, you have to get some successful plays to be able to run the tempo. So we'll probably, maybe see that on the first series, and maybe they'll see how that goes. But if they're not like, if you have any sort of a negative play, you got to pretty much stop that. Or all you're doing is just putting your defense right back out onto the field to get more gas. And I think that could wear on them as this game wears on because they're not as deep as Tennessee is. Tennessee's very deep at every single spot, whereas Oklahoma does a good job of rotating in players, but it's not the same. It's definitely not the same level of depth by any means. So I think that might kind of work against them if they try to do that too much. And then Tyler Walker is still kind of talking about Tennessee's stats on the defensive line. And that's all good, man. So UT Badgum says, Tyler, you've not watched a single Tennessee game then. Every team so far throws quick screens and never holds the ball. Pierce terrifies them. You can think that stat matters when it's disruption that matters. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Being disruptive is going to be the most important thing. The Invisible Redneck says Tennessee starters have played 6 quarters. Yep, 100%. They've barely played. And so Tyler Walker saying that OU ranks top 10 in both. Yeah, man. So, again, Oklahoma has not played up against an offensive line or an offense period that is even in the same stratosphere as what Tennessee's is. And that's something that people do have to understand. But it's good, though, to have some hope, right? It's good to have hope for your team. And I'm not saying that Oklahoma does not have a chance. What I am trying to tell you is this is a whole different beast, right? Yes. And honestly speaking, Timmy G, the SEC, right? So look, and I'm not taking a shot at Oklahoma fans, but I'm just saying, coming from the Big 12, the difference in the whole style of play is just drastic, right? Yeah. Like you're stepping up to the big boy league now. You know what I mean? Like this is completely and totally different. You're gonna see, NFL pass rushers every single week. That's just normal. You're gonna see NFL linebackers, NFL every single position every single week. You're going to see that. So you've got to have a whole lot of dudes everywhere. I think the Oklahoma has some. I don't think that they have as many as they believe that they do. Tennessee, Coach Heupel came in. This is going to be his 4th season. He's learned that. He's built this team to sustain for a full season in the gauntlet that is the SEC. It is a different beast. We've got, our entire offensive line, it's veterans. They've seen it. They've seen the SEC over and over and over again. There's really no pass rushers, right? Like, unless you've got a whole bunch of them, like you're going to have 4 to 5 that are, NFL guys before we start to get concerned. They have to come in waves before it is a problem. Y'all got maybe 1 or 2. I think that we can handle that. but we're gonna see on Saturday.
How many? Let me ask you this:
Find out.
how
Go ahead.
many NFL guys do you think are on the defensive line this year?
For who? Tennessee?
Tennessee.
A lot. Um,
James
let me
Pierce, we
see.
know that.
Yeah, we
That's
already know about
first
James
rounder.
Pierce. I think that Big O's
Big
up
O,
there. I
Omar
definitely
Norman
think
Lott.
Omar Norman a lot for sure. I think that Bryson Easton is an NFL guy. I think that Joshua Josephs is definitely working himself into an NFL guy. He's going to test out the water as soon as he gets to his pro day combine, any of that type of stuff. And then who else? I think that Big E, definitely he could be an NFL guy. But then if you look at some of the other players, man, I think that David Hobbs for sure, 5-star. I mean, I would say we've probably got, honestly speaking, somewhere between 6 to 7 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And
I'm just saying. I'm
yeah.
just saying, like next year, they could literally leave next year and
Oh,
go.
okay. That could leave next season.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I think there's
we've
at
got
least 4, 5.
4. Yeah, we've got 4 that could go next year
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, but if you're talking about for their entire career at Tennessee, I think we've
there's a
got
plethora. Yeah.
there's a whole bunch. I think we've probably got 8, 9, 10 of them. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because Jordan Ross, I think, is going to end up being better than James Pierce, and he is a true freshman. I think that he might go a little bit in this game. He's different, so we've got several players, but yeah. And that's kind of like whenever you're talking about SEC ball, the teams that are the most dominant have a bunch of those pass rushers. They have a bunch of those guys. And I think the Oklahoma has a couple, but they just don't understand it's a whole different ball game. Let's get to some more of these, man. Right here from Travis Bishop says that you will see that D-line very soon, Tyler, 100%. And Tyler Walker, he's still up here. All right, so we're gonna try to get to some more people because I want to see. I want to get some of these questions in, man. Like I want to be able to answer some people's questions and have some more talking points. Right here, Dirty Higgins says our speed on the outside and linebacker should be able to contain the quarterback run, and I don't think Arnold is gonna want the smoke we are going to bring. Yeah, we're gonna see, man. I'm gonna tell you, Jackson Arnold, he can scoot. He can most definitely scoot, and I think that he will try to get down. I've tried to emphasize this all week. Not that it's going to make any difference to our actual team, but we got to be careful getting personal foul penalties. If he's sliding or if he's going out of bounds, we got to let up because I know our players. They got a little bit, they got that dog in them, and sometimes they might, they might hit somebody late. We just can't afford to give them, any first downs, any 15-yard penalties, and we definitely don't want to have players getting kicked out of the game for any, targeting fouls and things like that. Speaking of the targeting, man, Kobe Thomas coming back, I think that's going to be huge. What do you think about, let's just say, if Oklahoma finds a way to block our front? Like, I think that they will probably try to go 12 personnel, leave extra people into block, 7, 8 people, so they have the time to try to force the ball down the field, maybe some crossing routes or some double moves, right? How do you think that our secondary is going to hold up, especially talking about those safeties? Because, Kobe Thomas is, he's going to be coming back. But, we got Andre Turntine, Will Brooks, those 3 players. How do you think that they're going to hold up?
Well, that's the question, right? Because they haven't been tested really, because no team's been able to pass on Tennessee yet. One play here and there, and that's it. Because that defensive line it forces you to do things. That means get rid of the ball and in a hurry. But they might try to do that, but the question is, do they have the wide receivers do that? Looking at the injury report, I'm not so sure. Idris Farouk's brother plays for them, right? He's out all season, broken foot. He's sat down.
I don't know if that's his brother or is that his brother?
Oh, okay. I thought it's brother or cousin. I'm not sure.
Something like that, yeah.
But he's out with a broken foot, so they don't have him. I think they're getting one wide receiver back. I'm not sure how good this guy is, but
he's very good.
Yeah.
I think you might be talking about Nick. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting test. We're going to get to see Ricky Gibson go against some guys. We're going to see Jamon McCoy thus far has been literally just lights out.
Lights out.
They got what they wanted when they got him. I don't think they expected him to be this physical. And some things I've seen him do so far, I'm really impressed. We'll get to see if they try to do something with Brooks or whatever. But this is going to be a good test for the secondary. And this is what everybody keeps saying. Oh, well, the secondary is their weakness. Well, it hasn't been yet. But we haven't really got to see it tested yet, because the D line does what the D line does, and that's get to people and disrupt them, and that
Yeah.
causes problems. So
Yeah, I would definitely imagine that in this game it'll probably be more of the same, just because obviously, man, with your front four and your secondary, that works hand in hand. So as long as we can continue to get pressure, I feel like our secondary should hold up for the rest of the season. But I do feel like Oklahoma will have something drawn up. They should have probably 5 or 6, they feel like shot plays. Especially if this game, if they get down early, they're gonna have to try to find some ways to create some type of deep chunks versus our defense. They're gonna have to have something drawn up. So I know that they will. The question is, will it work? Will they be able to execute? That's yet to be seen. But I feel pretty confident with our secondary. But like you said, Timmy G, we just have not been tested. And right here, okay, I see y'all going back and forth right here inside of the chat.
they are, dude.
They
wow.
going at it. They're definitely going at it. Let's see what else we got. I'm gonna try to get to some more of these. Let me see what. All right, so this is a new one from SEC Rocket. BR1 says, "I can't wait for Saturday night Rocky Top. You already know, should be fun, man." So it sounds like it's supposed to be really hot, like earlier, like supposed to be like 95.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 90s, but I think it's going to cool down to be pretty nice at night.
Hopefully it will be, man, just because that could also be a little bit concerning. I don't know how warm it is up in Tennessee right now, especially East Tennessee, but I would imagine it's not that hot, right?
It's not horrible. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was a little warm during the day, but the nights cool off and it's pretty nice, man. It's not bad right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean that'll be something pretty interesting. I wonder if we're going to try to get up there on Thursday. Probably not till Friday. We'll probably leave on Friday and get up there Friday night, just because I don't think that Hyper wants them to be up inside of a hotel for too long. But at the same time, I know some coaches like to get there a little bit early just to get acclimated to the different, to the time change, to the weather change and all that type of stuff. But I don't think that too much of the outside noise, like none of that type of stuff, hopefully will not affect us in this game. But I mean, it seems like maybe it has in the past. I think that most of our roster has been through that. So hopefully they've kind of like learned from whatever they feel like they didn't do correct before, and they can, just kind of like spread that message out to the entire team. But I just feel like, Timmy G, man, we are so dialed in. Everyone's having a good time. Like, everyone's having fun playing. And everyone is just, like, whenever you, like, listen to them talk, whatever, in any interview, they are just so focused, and they all have one goal. So I think that we're going to be all right with all the outside noise type of stuff. But that's something else that could be a little bit concerning anytime that you're traveling, in a especially SEC game, all of that, a whole lot of firsts for both teams. You have to wonder how will the team respond to that. But do you think that's going to be do you think that's going to be a problem for this team at all? Like, is that worrying you, Timmy G?
Not really. Just because like they just seem to have a different air about them this year than past years. And I think part of that's due to we've got some really young guys, but they're really mature young guys. And we've got a lot of good veterans in there with some good leadership in the locker room. You got guys like Big O. That dude's been here a minute. You got guys like Peely. Peely's been around and played a lot of football. You've got a lot of guys that are really giving these guys a lot of leadership. And not only that, you've got Heupel, and I think Heupel is a great communicator. You've got people like him. You've got Inge. You've got these people that are really good communicators with these kids, and I think they're coaching them up and telling them the right things. Like, look, our goal isn't, like we've got other goals. Like, this is just a step. Like, we need to be focused. You have to be focused on this one to get to the next one. And I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah. I think that just the leadership of this team has been absolutely outstanding. Let me get to this one right here from Tyler Walker. Says, do y'all honestly think the D-line has been producing to expectations? So I think that whenever you actually watch us on film, we are getting pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
we've been very.
My answer to this is very simple. Yes.
Yeah. I would say yes, but I'm just trying to kind of like go deeper so that people understand.
No, I get it.
I think that with the pass rush, obviously we haven't produced as many sacks, but I mean that's been because, like we talked about, teams have been getting the football out early, and I mean we haven't had real opportunities for our guys to get out there and hunt. And then also too, man, if you talk about just stopping that run, I think we've done a phenomenal job of that. I mean, what teams are averaging less than like 2 yards per carry on us. So I think that they're doing a very, very good job. But this is the game, though. This is the game that I would expect for them to get to Jackson Arnold. I would think that at some point, Oklahoma is going to try to win this game by going deep and giving us some time to get to him. And at that point, we should be able to wreak plenty of havoc. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's get to some more of these. Oh, right here is from the Invisible Redneck saying that Lance Hurd listed as questionable. Yeah, so we touched on that earlier. He's listed as questionable. We'll see what happens with that. But I think that he will go. Everything that we've heard so far sounds like he's expected to go from the insiders and all that type of good stuff. So that would be kind of a big deal if he doesn't get to go, because I think that Dane Davis is a good tackle, but on the left side, he's a little bit of a question mark. I think he's better on the right side. What do you think about that, Timmy G?
About Dane Davis.
Yeah.
Who was it that was in the last? Was it Lampley that seemed like he struggled a little bit last game? Was it Lampley or Davis?
I think it was Lampley. So Lampley, I think Lampley kind of struggled playing at left guard some. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is that not his normal spot? Is that a different spot for him?
So Lampley really can play either of the guards, and then with Davis, he can play really anywhere, but he's more of a tackle body. So last game, I think he got the start at left tackle. And then Larry Johnson came in some. Larry Johnson he scares me.
But I saw a player too. And listen, I mean, I'm not. Everybody makes mistakes, man, and it's not like these guys see the field all the time. So when you get in there, I'm not going to throw a lot of shade at you. He had a couple plays though that I was like, man, I want to see something a little better, but we'll see.
Yeah. We shall see. So from Stephen Wolf, I think Peely is the difference for us versus the runner quarterbers this year.
Amen.
I think so too. I think that all of our linebackers should do a lot better versus mobile quarterbacks. We haven't been the best at that in previous seasons, but it's because we didn't have the same types of athletes that we have this year. 100%. But I trust all those guys, Timmy G.
No, I do too, man. We've seen a lot of the linebacker play because of Peely has improved so much this year. Last year, you had Peely go down. You had, was it Elijah Herring, right? Caleb's brother, who didn't he transfer to Memphis? I think he transferred.
Yeah, Memphis.
I'm not sure. But you had him in there. You had Arian Carter that got thrown in there way before he really should have been. I mean, should he got in there and got reps? Sure. But should we had to depend on him all season like we had to? No, you just didn't have the depth. Listen, after next season, if everything stays true and we wind up getting gas and is it Hayden, the kid that we flipped from Alabama?
Oh, Jaden. Yeah,
man. Then you're talking about really stacking some depth. Those two guys make it on campus, but Peely is a difference maker, man. I did not expect him to be as just nasty, just overall just nasty, man.
Hey, look, he don't seem like it because he's very, very soft spoken.
That's Polynesian guys in general, though. They're a lot of them are soft spoken, except for when they turn that switch. It's like, oh my Lord.
Yeah. Hey, look, that is perfect for football players, man. Yeah. That is 100% perfect. But yeah, he's ridiculous. But I trust all those guys. So, but I think that is an excellent point because we will have to, like we keep on touching on, make sure that we find a way to bottle him up. I think that if we can shut him down, who do they go to? You know what I mean? Like, who can step up for Oklahoma? It's nobody that I've looked at that I trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, not for them at all. I actually kind of want to pull up their stats right here so y'all can take a look at that. We've got them. I got them in here somewhere, but I'm gonna get to that here in just a second. But let me also get to a few more chats real quick because I want to get to as many as we possibly can. So let's see what this one right here says. So Travis Bishop says, will the sure have passed on us? Do you think the linebackers and safeties? How did all that? So I think he might be he might be responding to somebody inside of the chat. I don't know what's going on. No. What is this right here? What are you ranked in sacks or takeaways? They still talking about them sacks. Hey man, look, you got to take those rankings with a grain of salt because I'm telling y'all that's not the whole story. That is not the whole story of.
I see a good question in here.
Yeah. Go ahead. Where's it at?
Brian Elam asked, "What would Nico's stats be if he played 12 quarters instead of 7?"
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think that he would have probably well over 1,500 yards.
A lot.
Yeah, he would have well over 1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Nico is he is that dude, man. And people don't even understand how explosive he is as a playmaker, but hopefully everything will be on display. I'm gonna pull up this is Oklahoma stats real quick, and y'all can see that for the passing yards leader is Jackson Arnold, rushing yards leader is Jackson Arnold with only 159. That is insane. And then Deion Burks has been the only wide receiver that's done anything for them at all. Danny Studsman leading them in tackles. I mean, this is crazy, man. Jackson Arnold has 38 carries and he has 2 touchdowns rushing. That's really y'all. That's all off of the offensive line, just not being able to get anything done.
Well, and
Yeah,
I think that goes back to the vibe that I was picking up from the OU guys,
yeah,
and why they were concerned about the offense, and they've got some things they need to fix. Can they be a great team moving forward if they get some people back and some things fall into place? Sure.
yeah,
Look, man, I respect Oklahoma. I do. I always think they've been a good program, but I think I think they might be running into a different monster this year with UT. Just what I feel. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna definitely find out here very shortly. But yeah, I mean, I feel good about it, man. Timmy G, we'll see what happens tomorrow if any new updates come out. I think that at this point, both teams should be like, so actually what? Tomorrow is Thursday. They'll
Yep.
probably have some sort of a walkthrough or something like that tomorrow. Then Friday, of course, we're going to be leaving. So probably, leave, do a little bit more of a walkthrough, whatever. But as far as the actual practice stuff, we should be done, all the installs, all that type of stuff. We should pretty much be ready to rock and roll. Just need people to stay up off of their feet, stay out of trouble. But as long as we come into this game, Timmy G, and, if we just handle business how we are supposed to, if we're fully focused, which I see no reason that we won't be, I don't know how Oklahoma is going to be able to score at all on us. And I really don't see their defense having success for 60 minutes versus this offense. I think that, Nico's going to go off, not just with his arm, but also with his legs. You just got to take care of that football. And decent, man, our entire running back room, that's another point. Do you think Cam Selden can go in this game? He hasn't gone for the past couple of weeks. Do you think that he will come back for this one?
I don't know, man. Well, I don't. I'm not even sure what his injury was. Do you know?
I think he had some sort of a concussion protocol, but he's been
Oh,
in there for the
Lord.
past couple of
Okay.
weeks.
Okay.
So,
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe we'll see him back. But my question is, I think we're kind of cemented with where number 2 is right now. Don't you think? Don't you think
oh
it's
yeah, I
Bishop?
think so, man. Hey,
I
look, Bishop
mean,
has been balling.
he has been the surprise of the year for me
Yeah,
as far as what he's done. And man, the kid looks so good, explosive, really good vision, really runs behind the blockers well, and the way he explodes through a hole, it's nice. It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I mean, hopefully he just keeps on doing exactly what he's been doing, and I have no reason to suspect otherwise. I'm going to get to this question right here from Vols Nation Champ says, Bull and Timmy G, how do you feel our secondary will do this week in case they get their O-line gelled? So we had kind of touched on that earlier, but yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to do just fine. I think this is going to be their coming out party. That's been everyone's question mark as far as national media goes, but people don't understand just how good those guys actually are. This entire team, it's so different, and people want to go back to 2023 or even 2022, whatever year. It's a different team.
It's
You
a
can
whole
say that
different
for
unit.
every single team in this entire country. It is not the same team. But I trust our secondary, Timmy G. What do you think?
Listen, I don't think Heupel and some of these coaches would be acting the way they're acting this year if they didn't know what they had. And I think they've seen it, so they know the deal. We haven't got to see it yet. They've got to see it in practice. And what I've heard from some of these receivers, like Brazel, talking about Ricky Gibson, like, hey man, if you don't get physical with him, he's gonna put you on the sideline.
Which is exactly what he did.
That's not something we heard before. I mean, let's be honest. I think we went out and made a decision last year, and we let some guys go. I don't think it was a coincidence that many guys transferred out. I think unfortunately, football is a business at this level, and I think that maybe they decided to move on and decided they need to make some changes, and they look like they went out and got some guys, and they knew they had Boo and some young talent coming in, and that's what they were going to go with. And I wish all those guys the best. I hope they have a great great career. But I think the way the coaches act, they know something we don't. So I think we're
Yeah.
going to be okay. But we'll see, man. Like we just haven't been tested, and as we get deeper into SEC play, we're going to see some really good guys at skill positions, and that's when we'll know. But when you've got a defensive line as good as ours, honestly, man, think about this in 2022. How much better would we have needed the secondary to be? 15%. 15% better could have changed a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you go back to 2023, I mean, imagine if Haddon doesn't go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that team would have been different because he was the only cornerback that we really had that could. I mean, and everything kind of took a step back once he did go down. Now we got two guys just like Haddon playing a corner, and I just think that everything, to your point, Timmy G, works hand in hand so well that I mean, yeah, that can make all the difference, even if it's just an extra 15% better. Which I think that this secondary is, I mean, so far it looks even better than that, than any secondary that we've had so far. Right here, Robert Bernard says, if you listen to the guys that cover OU, all they keep constantly saying is Nico hasn't played in a true road game. They think their fans will make it difficult for him. Now, that is interesting. I mean, I want to see how Nico's going to, how's he going to handle it too, because we really haven't seen him going on the road to a crowd that's not, kind of 50-50. To a crowd that's going to be mostly Oklahoma fans. How does he handle it? I mean, I feel like he should handle it well, but we haven't seen it.
We don't know, and I don't think it's going to be him that it's going to be the problem. If the hostile environment causes problems, I don't think it's going to be on Nico, because that kid just doesn't. That's not a thing for him. I mean, have you seen that guy look nervous, or like he looks the same no matter what? And everybody said that about him ever since he got here. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. If the crowd poses a problem, it's going to be to the O-line. It's not going to be to Nico. Yeah. False starts. That's something that could pose a problem for us. But I don't think it's going to be Nico in the crowd. If anything, it'll be Venables in disguising some defenses and doing some tricky stuff. But it's not going to be the crowd that's going to take Nico down. And the crowd's only going to be as good as the score, right? Yep, if Tennessee comes up and puts up 14 points, how loud is that crowd going to be?
It's going to be it's probably going to be dead silent. And you know what the crazy
thing is? What did LSU look like in the third quarter?
I was just about to say it, man. Hey, look, we took over whatever that Tiger Stadium or whatever it's called.
Valley, man. That's one of the toughest places to play in. Now, obviously, it wasn't a night game; it was a day game, so them Cajuns weren't that liquored up yet.
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter. LSU is not an easy place to play, and everybody knows that. Can we do that to them? Sure, we can if we jump on them early, and then that'll take the crowd out of it. But listen, if they get rolling, they get some sacks, things are going to get wild up in there. And just expect an amazing football game. I think we're going to see an amazing football game. So,
I think that it's going to be fun for about maybe the whole first half. I don't know. I think it's going to be fun just watching that chess match back and forth. Mm-hmm. But I think that once Tennessee starts to pile it on, once we open it up, once we figure out, hey, look, this is what they're trying to do to us. And once we come back with that counter, that's going to be it, man. That is going to 100% be it. And I still feel as confident, I would say, as I did off of the last video that I made. And I guess we'll probably do like the official score predictions and all that stuff on Saturday, Timmy G. But I think that's going to be it for tonight, y'all. We definitely appreciate y'all for chiming in with all of those questions, man. I think that y'all had some excellent points. And, hopefully everyone, especially Tennessee fans, feels very, very confident at this point. Let me see if the poll changed at all before we get on up out the door. Yep, it is still 90-10 in favor of our Tennessee Vols. We'll check it again on Saturday and see how everybody's feeling. But we definitely, we thank y'all for tuning in. As always, y'all make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all probably tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.